Hello everybody, how you all doing? Welcome to Astropods. I am Hassan. On today's podcast, I'm talking about George Floyd. Talking about what led to the case, how the case is going, and of course, what we have been able to discover so far. So, we all know that George Floyd was killed on the 25th of May, 2020. Now, what most people do not know is that George Floyd had been shot before that time, and part of the thing that he told the officers when they were trying to arrest him was that I have been shot before, and because when the officer sort of reached for his gun, he said that he was having an anxiety. But why was he summoned? Guys, I've already talked about this George Floyd case back then last year when this happened. So it's just like a quick recap of what is going on right now, because as we know, Officer Derek Chauvin is facing trial right now, and the remaining 3 other officers will be facing trial in the month of August. So we're just trying to talk about the things that happened that we can sort of dial everything back on. So they called police officers that Mr. George Floyd had spent or passed a $20 counterfeit bill at a store called Cop Foods. Okay. Now, truly, investigators were able to find that in this vehicle he had 2 fake or counterfeit $20 bills and some singles. So clearly, he actually passed that fake money to them. Talking about George Floyd now. Now, this is not to validate what happened to him minutes after that, but it's just that to make us understand that he was not forcefully accused of any wrongdoing. That's one. So now, based on what we understand later, we understand that the Officer Lane and Officer Koeng, I think that's the Asian officer, they approached him and they tried to make him come out of his vehicle, and they expressed concern at the time that he was acting erratic, almost as if he was on some type of drugs or something like that, because they could see that there was foam coming from his mouth. So, and they tried to bring him into their vehicle, and he told them that, listen, the reason why I'm the way I am is because I've been shot before, so I don't want you to shoot me again. And after I shot me, that, listen, I'm not going to shoot you. We only want you to calm down because you weren't responding to our orders. Now, what happened after that time is that, understand is that Officer Derek Chauvin was not even in the picture the entire time. It was Officer Lane and Officer Koeng that was trying to apprehend George Floyd. And he told them that he does not know what is going on. What's going on? He seemed to be lost. Like, why are you coming to me? What have I done wrong? Now, during this back and forth, the officers were able to understand that probably he was high on some kind of drugs. And when they tried to, put him in the vehicle, he told them, all right, that he was claustrophobic, all right, that it would be ample for him to be in a kind of tight place, like in the back of a vehicle. And the officers told him that, listen, we're going to on the air condition. And he said, listen, I just had COVID-19. So he was speaking with them the entire time that I just had COVID-19 and I'm claustrophobic. I cannot be in this enclosed environment. So along this time, I think they signaled to Officer Derek Chauvin, and then he came on and he told them to bring him out, to put him on the street, on the cop on the street and stuff like that. So what am I saying is that I'm just going to give us like a picture of what actually transpired between Officer Lane and between George Floyd, Officer Lane and Officer Koeng. Okay. Now, he said something that was remarkable, and I quote, "Y'all, I'm going to die in here." He told them straight up, like, if you guys on the AC or I'm gonna die in here. And Officer Koeng, expressed concern that he was on something, like I said, maybe drunk on some kind of drugs, but they didn't know because they had foam in his mouth. The whole point is that after this whole thing happened, the Hennepin County medical examiner later found fentanyl in Floyd's system, as well as indications of prior methamphetamine use. So he was high on so many drugs. You see what I'm saying? So, this is a man that had been shot before. This is a man that is apparently on drugs. This was a man that was going through a lot of things in his life. It was just 46, when they took his life away from him. And we should not dismiss the fact that he was going through a lot personally in his life. He was going through a lot. This is a man that tried to play basketball. He was a very tall man, trying to play basketball, and he couldn't just make the cut. That was how he and this NBA retired player, Scott something is his name, I forgot his name. That's how they met, because they were friends. So if you have so many hells in your life, you tend to be depressed and you don't know what to do with your life. So a lot of cases of when people use drugs, when they abuse drugs, is a lot of things that has been bottled up and has been growing within them, and they don't know how to express themselves because they feel like they are losing in the battle of life. So, and on that note, I can sort of understand or kind of empathize with George Floyd, because everybody knows that he was a good man. It just happened to be, when you're born poor and other things, you just happen to have, you don't have the right tools around you, like the way, tall guy is not, it did not make the cut, so everything just went down the hill from that point, I guess, for him. But he had a beautiful daughter and a nice family, I must confess. So now what am I saying is this. Do you also know that recently the Minnesota city council just agreed to pay George Floyd's family $27 million. This perhaps will be the highest compensation in America's history, if I'm not making a mistake. Because you know that Breonna Taylor got $12 million, which was like the highest in that state, if I'm not mistaken. Now George Floyd's one is like more than double that. So $27 million has been agreed to be given to the family of George Floyd, and I know that the lawyer will surely get at least maybe 1/3 of the money. So maybe around $9 million or so will be given to that lawyer that courageously fought for them throughout this entire time. Now, nothing can equate, no dollar value can equate the value of a human life. No dollar amount, 20 billion, 500 billion, like it's a human life that they just took away. And Officer Derek Chauvin had his knee on his neck for almost 9 minutes. I think it's 8:46 seconds. I think 8 minutes 46 seconds, if I'm not mistaken. So now, almost 9 minutes you had your knee on his neck. This is a man that, and this way I found it very tough, because Officer Lane and Quinn had already noticed that probably this man is high on some kind of drugs. Why then did they allow him, I'm talking about Officer Derek Chauvin, to place his knee on his neck? If you knew that this guy is not sane, why would you allow your other officer to do that? Granted, he was a superior officer, but it can be talked to. And the blatant disrespect for his life, in terms of the way the man was talking, like, oh, you are doing so much talking, definitely you are not in pain. And this man was saying, yo, I'm in pain, I'm gonna die here. He had been telling them that, yo, listen, if you guys keep me in this place, I'm gonna die, because he knew he was not in a good mental or health state. So what we're talking about is a case of people not respecting the life of a man. And it's not about a black or white man, but it just makes it more absurd that it was a white officer that had his knee on a black man's neck for that long. Would you have done the same thing if it was a white man? That's the question. And I'm yet to find out, but I was saying, oh yeah, would have done the same thing if it was a white man, because you don't even, people get eye. It's not a black or white. Everybody gets eye. But the blatant respect for that man's life, when this man was telling you clearly that, yo, if you guys keep putting me in this situation, I'm just going to die here. And it was not sort of like resisting arrest. It was just not in the proper state of mind. Anyway, let's talk about what happened since that time. We know there was this, even to this day, every day, if you watch the EPL, that's the English Premier League soccer games, they always take a knee before they start the games, because that's because of, people like Colin Kaepernick that started this movement of bringing to light the things that people of color go through in the hands of law enforcement officers in America and in all these civilized nations. You know what I'm saying? So it's now a thing now in the EPL, okay? And to see the way this man put his knee on this man's neck, it's now a thing that, oh, yo, we will not stand for any form of racial injustice anymore. So that happened. A massive worldwide global outrage happened that, damn, this guy literally killed this man. Because, do you know what people believe did not kill this man? Is because the county medical examiner ruled the death a homicide and listed the cause as cardiopulmonary arrest, complicating law enforcement subdual, restraint, and neck compression. Although the defense argued that the drugs and heart disease caused Mr. Floyd's death, noting the medical examiner found no evidence of injury to his neck and back. And I've read a lot of things. Like this lady from Forbes, Jemima is her name. She had a very good sort of update of what's going on. And so now, what's Officer Derek Chauvin charged for? Second degree murder, second degree manslaughter, second degree murder unintentional, second degree manslaughter, and third degree murder as well. They want to make sure that they put everything so that it will not, it will be a tough one. It will be a tough out for him. And now, funny thing is that since this family got $27 million, like, to be given to them, because it was announced, it was made public, two jurors were asked to leave because they said that they cannot, with a clear mind, decide on that case, being that they just understand that the family of George Floyd will be given $27 million as a form of compensation, because that's a lot of money, and I see his brother saying that, oh, you rather have his brother there, but hey, $27 million can do a lot, can help his kids, can help to promote things that he actually loved to do if he was alive. Maybe probably it's a community basketball court or whatever the case is, and his name should not be forgotten. And I'll tell you the reason why I say his name should not be forgotten. It's not because of anything else. And remember this though, before I even say that President Trump at the time also made a very incendiary statement when he said that when the looting starts, the shooting starts. And because at the time, there was a massive protest, because we had we had Breonna Taylor before that time, we had George Floyd, and we had Ahmaud Arbery, so many unnecessary use of force and killing of black people unnecessarily. So there was a massive protest all over the nation, and then people were in the house. People were already upset about this coronavirus thing. So, so when he made this statement, it was a very not wise statement that a whole president would say such a thing. I mean, that means you are literally encouraging the law enforcement to go out there and shoot at people, So that's unacceptable. But this is what people do not understand, though. This is to Trump's defense, because he signed an executive order. I don't know if you guys know this, that Trump signed an executive order to encourage better police practices and establish a database to track officers with a history of excessive use of force complaints. All right. So Trump did that. Don't forget that around this time, Senator Tim Scott also tried to pass a bill that was denied in the House because purely on party lines. But that was a bill that would have really looked at the way our communities are being policed and find a lasting solution to it. I hope that someday they will look back at those kind of bills, and if they have to amend it or do whatever they have to do to ensure that people don't be killed unnecessarily. This man was clearly high. It's almost impossible for him to talk in a very coherent way. You know what I'm saying? It's difficult because he's not in his right frame of mind. Now, so why do I say that George Floyd's name should not be forgotten? That people that money should be, because already they said that they'll use is it $500 million and $500,000 or $1 million they will invest that money in the community that's in the community in which he was killed. The reason why I said George Floyd's name should not be forgotten, and the money should be invested in things that actually will things in things that he was passionate about. I know he loved basketball because he played basketball, but not on a professional level, or maybe community and stuff like that. Now, the reason is this: the last words he said before the last word he said was that he said, "They will kill me. They will kill me." And said, "Mama, I love you. Tell my kids I love them. I am dead." Yo, if that does not move you, I don't know what else will. This man, in his very intoxicated or abnormal state of mind, because he was high on fentanyl and methamphetamine, he said, "They will kill me. They will kill me. Mama, I love you." He had just lost his mother prior to that time, and he said, "Tell my kids I love them. I am dead." As if he knew that what was going on at the time was going to change the way everything would be done moving forward. So such a person, now, because people will now start saying that, well, he was a porn star, he was a drug addict, he was a this, was a that. You can say all you want about a man, but when a man says things like this, it tells you that he has love in his heart. You can say all you want about him, but you don't know his journey. You don't know what he has been going through. You have no idea the kind of hands he was dealt. You have no idea. And for that officer because what he said was that, "Oh, you did so much talking, you're not in pain anyway." You know what I'm saying? The way the officer was so nonchalant about his pains and what he was going through at the time just shows that there was no human feeling, no connection. So I am not saying that Derek Chauvin, the officer, should be killed or whatever the case is. I want the law to take its full course, but we should understand what happened here. Being high, spending a fake or counterfeit bill in a supermarket or whatever the case is, should not equal to you losing your life. Your life is irreplaceable. The dollar bill can be, you can ask persons to get you an original one. You can get off of drugs. You can do so many things. You can go to the rehab and regain your life and put your life back in order. But once the life is taken, and this man was, so this is where the other officers too that were saying that because their case will start in August, they are saying that, oh well, they are not part of it, that it was Derek Chauvin that sort of led the way and all that. But Officer Lane and the other officer had observed that this man was acting erratically. And there was a time, that was an opportunity for them to say, "Listen, Derek, this guy is not okay. We shouldn't let him," funny is that it was broadly, like everybody was begging this officer that, "Listen, this man is complaining that he cannot breathe." That's that word, "I can't breathe." You remember what happened to Oregana? The same thing. I can't breathe. How difficult is that for you to understand? If I told you I cannot breathe, and you don't understand that, should I speak it in Spanish or in some other language that you understand? Should I make a sign that you understand that I cannot breathe? Should I tap out or something like that? For you to know that I cannot actually breathe, because you've already had my hands in the back anyway. I can't even tap out. So this is the thing that we're talking about. That is why I say that the case has to go through its full course. It's a good thing that they compensated the family, but the money is not an equation. But it's a decent amount of money. But it will never be an equation of his life. This is just about talking about George Floyd and what he went through and why his name should not be forgotten. It's not about his drug addiction. It's not about the fact he spent a fake dollar bill. It's not about all of those ones. It's about the fact that he was a man that had love in his heart. And that's my podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. I remain as Sandalan Raju. Until I see you again soon, please keep wearing your mask, stay safe, and you're blessed. Bye for now.